Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am a glad Gator fan.
And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. Today, more football as usual. We're going to recap a Gator win at home versus Vanderbilt. Florida State wins on the road to Boston College. And we will whip around the entire state to see how everyone else did during this fine week. And Chris, I'm going to let you get started. You are glad, and you have 56 reasons to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Florida responded well to the loss against Georgia. Very different than last year. I think, and I've said this before on the podcast, we allowed Georgia to beat us twice last year. It carried over into the Missouri game, and we got worked at home. Thankfully, this year we scheduled Vanderbilt at home right after Georgia. So when we lost this year, we were able to bounce back, and we responded a lot better. And that was something that you heard a lot this week within the program was don't lose again like we did last year. And you could see that we are definitely learning from that experience for sure. As far as the overall recap of the game, Florida wins at home against Vanderbilt, who is fighting Arkansas for the worst team in the SEC. I think Arkansas is winning by firing their coach. But Florida wins 56-0. It started out slow, and I said this last week. I am going to toot my own horn. I said we're going to start off slow, and it's going to be a closer game than it should be. And we were up 14-0 at half, and really it should have been a lot more. We were clearly the better team, but they hung around, and we allowed them to. And but we came out third quarter and just everything was clicking. Outscored them 28-0 in the third there. And our defense did great, shutting them out the whole game. Trask continued to put up great numbers. We're talking numbers that are similar to Tebow and Rexman numbers. Rex Grossman, sorry, Rexman. I just combined his name.
That's right. Yeah, we knew who you meant.
How long he is, Rexman? I think it's easier. You shorten up someone's name, saves time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So he's rivaling them as far as he's putting up numbers. And it's refreshing because for years now, quarterbacks at Florida just don't put up those type of numbers. So it's good to see that. There's a caveat there. Vanderbilt was playing their third string quarterback and Deuce Wallace there. So, I mean, you expect to win by this, but the last few years, and Vanderbilt just typically plays us tough. So it was nice to just blow them out. It really was. The game could have been worse. Like I said earlier, we throw 2 interceptions in the red zone. We miss a field goal in the first half. So really, the game could have been a lot worse. But we win, and we put up a lot of points, and I'm very happy. It's an interesting stat someone put out there that under Coach McElwain, in his, 2.5 years or so here, his team scored 40 or more 3 times. Mullen just now scored – this is his 8th game doing that.
Wow.
We are putting up the points, and we're getting back to our winning ways and winning convincingly. And so this is why I'm glad to see this type of game and these type of numbers. So we'll go continue with the positives, and then we'll work our way back with the negative. So before I get into the positive and negative, any thoughts from you? Just an overview how the game went.
Yeah, I just did not know how much Vandy was struggling this year. I knew they only had 2 wins, but I still thought they would have a decent showing. I just did not expect the Gators to come out like this. And yeah, I know there's been a lot of injuries. I know Derek Mason has struggled, but I didn't know it almost reached the point with Vandy that they have to reconsider some coaching changes. I did not know it had gotten that bad. And to your point, yes, it's good for Florida to bounce back in a heavy way. after beating an opponent, or being beat by an opponent on the road like Georgia, and not letting that slip up. And I think I was also surprised to know in the series that Vandy had actually pulled off a victory about 5 or 6 years ago. So those are a couple of thoughts from the series from me.
Yeah, and that year everyone was beating us, but typically Vanderbilt always just play. I mean, you saw last year they play us tough, so it was nice to beat them and beat them bad. And they really only have one player, and that's Keyshawn Vaughn, and that is it on offense. And I mean, you take him away, which we did, and you saw how you see why the Deuce Wallace was their third string quarterback, because he was just missing players left and right. Yeah. As far as positives on offense, the passing game again was clicking. Trask goes for 363 and 3 touchdowns. Saw those 2 picks, but overall he has just been that solid, steady quarterback, and he's getting seems to be a little bit better pocket awareness. Earlier in the year, he just held the ball too long, and he still does that from time to time, but you're seeing that our strength is our receiving core, and he is doing a better job of getting the ball out to our receivers. We had 11 different receivers catch a pass this game. And it's nice that we, we don't. I don't know if we have that go-to guy. Maybe Swain, maybe Pitts, but we have so many options. It's real tough for defenses to defend against us. We had a fantastic third quarter. In that third quarter on offense, every play was either resulted in a first down or a touchdown in that first quarter.
Goodness gracious.
So that you talk about it being efficient, that's efficient. And then our backup quarterback, Emory Jones, I like when he is in to mix things up and to help with our running attack. He had 3 rushing touchdowns in this game, kind of like a reverse Tebow, because he's a lot faster. He's not like a bruiser.
Oh.
He comes in and he will get you that rushing touchdown, but just kind of like that speed option off the edge there. So it's nice. On defense, our third shutout of the season. We really, Tennessee scored 3 points on us. Almost 4 shutouts on the season. So That's good for us to even, like I said before, even if it's Vanderbilt, no matter who you're playing, if you shut someone out, that's impressive, because you're talking your second and third stringers versus their second and third stringers, and that's real tough to just shut them out going into the fourth quarter. So it was good to see them do that. They forced 3 turnovers, I believe all leading to points. Definitely one of them did, because that was an 80-yard scoop and score by Grenard there. Story on defense, though, was I'm going to butcher his name, and I still haven't figured out how to say it, but Diabate, the freshman linebacker / edge guy, he had 3 sacks on the day. Now, 2 of those sacks, he just was uncovered, unblocked, but I'll give him credit. He did his job. Not his fault they didn't block him. He did his job against the quarterback and forced that fumble that Grenard picked up. So good for him. And we're definitely going to need him, because Jeremiah Moon is out for the season. Jabari Zuniga didn't play again. I don't know what's wrong with him. Something's wrong that they're not telling us. So he didn't play. Don't know how much he's going to play the rest of the season. So we're going to need a guy like Diabate to come in and play that edge linebacker DN spot. Something that they did that I've been clamoring for this whole season, they moved Trey Dean out of the star position, out of that nickel corner position, and they put Marco Wilson in there. And he seemed to be more competent. Again, it's Vanderbilt, so we'll see. But he just was better in coverage, and they rotated safeties and they rotated corners in throughout the game. So that was good to see. And I like Wilson at that star position. They finished strong, and like I said earlier, they shut down Keyshawn Vaughn, even to the point where he was frustrated and got a personal foul penalty called on him. So all in all, great game for them. Not too many negatives. Still no running game. Still we can't just run it up the middle and pound people, which is we got to fix that. Well, now we are switching it up and having jet sweeps and guys like Kadarius Toney breaking ankles and we're throwing screen passes. So we're making up for it, but eventually you're going to have to figure out how to just run the ball straight down the middle. That's still I thought that a team like Vanderbilt would be a great team to work on that and improve on that, but we haven't. Again, with a slow start, I think the second game in a row where we didn't score the first quarter, and Trask turnovers, and then, like I said, we missed a field goal. So, other than the first quarter mishaps, overall it's a great game, and I'm very pleased how we handled that loss to Georgia and then going forward, because we still have a shot at the East. It is slim, though, and probably not going to happen. But I think that they're realizing there is something still to play for, and good win for the Gators.
Yeah, so some of my positives, you saw Florida moving the ball every which way and just getting creative and having fun with it. I mean, it started with the flip pass, right?
Yeah.
And when I saw that Florida just out-muscled Vandy. Vandy couldn't hold tackles or blocks. They were just constantly getting pushed around, mostly on the outside, but I saw on the interior as well. You have Grimes tiptoeing to get a touchdown. Pitts scores a TD in coverage. I guess Trask read the zone perfectly and just threw it right in there. There were, only maybe 3 to 5 plays that come to mind where they had 10 or more yards on defense allowed. Just Keyshawn Vaughn just could not get it. I think he didn't even get 50 yards the entire game. And then the best promising drive of the game in third quarter when Vandy actually got in the red zone, strip sack, which ended up in a fumble that was returned forever. So you're talking about when it's how hard it is to shut somebody out. That was Vandy's best chance to score.
Right.
And you guys forced a turnover. Plus, late in the game, that relentless blitzing that Grantham just would not stop doing. They couldn't handle it, and they had to settle for a 55-yard field goal attempt to avoid a shutout, and it was no good. So, he's no Gary Sismacia, the Florida State kicker from 2007. Hits a 60-yarder,
Yeah.
Still a record in the swamp, by the way. So,
those are rare.
Yeah, couldn't get that done. I like to saw that, Kadarius Toney got the ball. He's pretty shifty. Then you have Malik Davis, who got some touches late in the game, which was nice, too. Pretty much the same opportunities you were talking about. The early aggression on 4th and 1, the pass that was dropped, that was interesting. Trask does have the 2 picks, and he nearly had a third. So, kind of rocky there to start off, but he figured it out. McPherson, my guy, I love kickers, just could not quite get it done. Other than that, that's really all you can take away. There's very little to improve upon with this performance.
Yeah, and it stinks that we started off so slow, because I was thinking oh, please don't have a hangover. I knew we would. I hate being right, but I really wasn't worried, because Vanderbilt really wasn't doing much to scare me. It was just how many times are we going to step on our own foot? I did not like the call early in the game, that fourth. I liked the play. I didn't like the decision for the 4th and 1. Okay. I thought it was an interesting play. The Vanderbilt defender just made a good play on the ball. But that's Mullen, though. He's going to be aggressive. Looking at the end of the game didn't matter, right? But I still was kind of didn't like this.
Right.
But that's Mullen, though, and that's what he's going to do. And he said before, I'm going to do it again, so just get used to it.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I had to add. Any final thoughts on the Gators victory?
No. I'm very, very pleased, and I'm glad, like I said earlier. Yep.
Sweet. Yep. 56-0 at home. Gators victorious. They moved to 8-2 on the season. All right. So, Florida State. They travel up to Boston.
Yeah.
Get a victory.
Yeah.
So
3 and Odell, right?
3 and Odell. Yeah, I thought that was really clever the first time I saw it. Then about 2 days later, after I'd seen it many times, I was like, okay, I think I'm over this now. But I get it. It's cool. It's punny. And heck, let's make it 5 and Odell.
I'm okay with 4.
I'm getting ahead of myself here, but Yes, Odo Haggins comes in interim head coach for the Noles, and Florida State is victorious against Boston College 30-31. So, positives, going to dive right in. There were a lot of great things here. Florida State does kind of start slow in this one. They're trailing 14-3, and then it just took off after that. We had decent special teams. So, Aguayo makes a field goal, which, don't know if that's going to be the case nowadays. Good kickoff returns. We did fumble one later. I'll talk about that in a minute. We forced Boston College a couple of times into like third and longs, which for a running team like them is not easy to make. We have Tamari and Terry just back in full force again. We had Hazma Nasruddin. I loved him. I love to say his name. 22 tackles in a game, which is the highest for a Seminole since 1968. Just an amazing performance at the linebacker position. We had James Blackman come out as the starter, and probably one of the best games I've seen him play. Top 3 for sure. He's scrambling on plays. He's leading the team as far as morale goes. We get a lot of new personnel coming in. We'll talk plenty about Jordan Travis here in a second. We even got our third string tight end involved, McDonald, rare sighting. DJ Matthews, when the game was on the line, it's tied. He made the best play of the season for Florida State. Just weaving in and out of traffic, and then dives for the pylon to get a touchdown and take the lead for good. We had an interception by Sanford Samuels. Florida State has not caused a lot of turnovers. I might be wrong on this. I think that's the first turnover in a month. There were it was at least 2 games we did not even cause a turnover, recover, a fumble, or anything. So, that drought had to stop, and that was only the 9th interception or turnover for Boston College the entire year. So they don't turn it over either. There was, with a point, we scored 21 straight to take the lead, and we really limited Boston College's passing game. So all of that was a really big deal to see a team come out and play with some fire. And we certainly had some things to overcome, we'll talk about in a second. But what were the positives you took away from this game?
The way that Florida State finished, man, that last couple minutes was wild. Just big play after big play. And you finally see you finally see a guy other than Terry at the receiver in Matthews make a big play. You've seen glimpses of him throughout the season, but if it's not Akers or Terry, who was the other guy? Maybe sometimes McKitty, but it was good to see Matthews make that play and make the D-backs look silly, for sure. And then Travis, he was the big story. I did a double take. I was like, who is this guy? I mean, obviously you know him, and I know that beginning of the season you had 6 potential quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so he got lost in the mix there. And so that was good to see. And this is something that you could see with Odell, is that he's a new coach, and hey, I'm going to try something new. Nothing to lose here. Right? So real good job by him throwing him in. Obviously he knew something that BC didn't know. And why not throw a guy like that in there, see what happens, and it worked out for them. And what a way to finish that game and maybe finish the season and win another one for Odell. And you can really see the impact that he has on that program. And, man, did Florida State ever, as a program, fan base, need this win.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing bright going on for a couple weeks. I mean, nothing. And so this is a bright spot on the season. The biggest win of the season, probably, right? I would think. And when nothing is going right, you needed something positive. And really, when BC scored to tie it up there, I thought, okay, you're at home, you have the momentum. That's the game. But the way they responded at the very end, making big plays when you need to, and that's what you need. And then huge win for the Seminoles. We're talking bowl, we're talking morale, just everything. This is huge for them.
Yeah, it is. And Jordan Travis was a guy that he went to Louisville last year and he transferred, and we were so thin at the QB position that we were pleading with the NCAA, please let us have him eligible for this year. And it took months to get a response before they finally said, yes, that's fine. and then end up being Hornibrook was the backup, and he's a grad transfer. This is his only year at Florida State. And you had Blackman, who threatened to transfer at one point. Then we brought in a guy named Wyatt Rector as a preferred walk-on. We didn't even offer him a scholarship. So I would have thought, okay, well, Jordan Travis is probably the second best option. Turns out this is his first time he played, and then what did he do? 34-yard touchdown run, 66-yard touchdown run. So, it brought a new wrinkle into the offense where I forgot where I heard this. If you run the wild cam, yeah, he can probably throw the ball, but he's not a quarterback anymore. Hasn't been for a couple of years. Jordan Travis can actually throw the ball, and he can run. So you essentially do have that dual threat for the first time. Mm-hmm. If you're running the wild cam, there's an 80% chance he's just going to run with the ball. All right. Now, if you had Jordan Travis in at quarterback, you can run something like that, and it's a lot more dangerous. So that has an interesting wrinkle when it comes to, well, not Alamo State, but when we play the Gators in a couple of weeks, because who knows where that's going to go. And, hats off to Kendall Briles. I think maybe Odell just kind of talked to him and said, if you want to run him, then go right ahead.
Yeah.
But you're right, nothing to lose at this point. And it also, one of the most fun plays I've seen all year, Jordan Travis rolls out with Cam Akers, and he gives Cam the pitch, but then trailing behind him was Trayshawn Harrison, a wide receiver. So Cam pitched it a second time. So that's just something you just don't see and haven't seen all year. And, good for us to finally have something left and something fun. And I kind of think they were just saying, let's just throw out anything that the guys are going to enjoy and anything that guys can make a play at, and let's just go out there and play pitch and catch in the backyard. And this is what they did.
Yeah. And what a great story that Odell Haggins is. And I'm just happy. I don't like Florida State to win, but I'm happy for him. Seems like a good guy. I saw him at his speech afterwards, and just seems like a guy you like to root for. I don't like to root for his team, but I like to root for him. So good for him.
I understand. Yeah, he's been with the program since the mid-'90s, and he definitely spans a few generations. So there for the title years, there for the end of Bobby, and then there for Fisher, and now Taggart, and he was his own head coach. So, I was very emotional after the game was ended, and I said, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't hire him. There are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't, but you have to give it a serious look. Even if it's just like a 2-year contract where you say, let's just give this a shot. If it works out, we'll keep you on. If not, we'll just keep looking. Kind of deal. Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah. I think that I know it's not a sexy pick, and I know that fans probably like, what? But, I mean, why not? Like, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to talk myself into this. Give him a couple of years while you transition.
Yeah.
It's why you can save up the money to go after the big name. And if it works out, it works out. You see, I think LSU and maybe Ole Miss didn't really work out as much, but LSU, very similar to Orgeron. So maybe you really have to consider.
You have to think about it.
Initially, it's not going to be – you're going to have to convince a lot of people to get on board. But,
right.
I think it's something that you really have to think about.
Yeah, it's a hard pitch, and I think they really want to find a guy who has head coaching experience, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, I get it.
Ed Orgeron did have some at Ole Miss, but was pretty bad. Came back as an assistant, if I remember correctly. So they took a gamble on him. It's paying off, for sure. But anyway, I digress. It was a great win for him. There certainly were some things that Florida State can improve upon. A lot of it's same stuff, different day, right? It's things that we continue to have as mistakes. Pre-snap penalties, illegal shifts, not breaking the huddle with the right number of guys, too many men on the line of scrimmage. Heck, even one of these cost us a touchdown. I mean, this is not new mistakes, but very easily correctable, and yet it still continues to happen. Some of the things that just really made me just really upset. The first drive of the game, Boston College is going down to score. They have 2nd and goal, and they fumble the snap, and we don't fall on the fumble recovery. We're just,
again.
Hey, I'm going to scoop this up and run 90 yards. No, you're not. You're going to turn it right back over to BC. And then they score the next play. Those kinds of things just get my goat. This happens a lot, and that's one of those plays that you can point to and say that's definitely like a selfish play. Just play for the team and fall on the ball. It's not as fun. You're not on a highlight reel. I get it. But it gives your team the ball back, and you save yourself a touchdown. So that didn't happen. We had first and goal on one of our first possessions. Might have even been the very first one. Tamarian Terry gets pushed out the 3. He doesn't stretch out. Gabe Neighbors gets a pass over his head. Blackman didn't make a good throw or decision to run it. So we ended up settling for a field goal. That cost us 4 points. We allowed tons of rushing yards. I know this is Boston College. I know this is A.J. Dillon. I know this is what they do. But, man, this was crazy. And this is probably the only team in the nation that runs this just down-your-throat style that's not triple option. And it'll flat out wear you out. A.J. Dillon has tree trunks for legs. This guy is a bulldozer. And if they still had a fullback position in the NFL, that's exactly what he'd do next year. But him and David, I forget his last name, they were just trading off. I mean, these two guys are used to getting 100, 120 each and just pounding the rock. And they only throw it when they have to. We did catch a couple of breaks. Boston College's kicker missed 2 field goals.
All right.
But we didn't really take advantage of that. We ended up having to punt. They went down and scored touchdowns, so we were down 14-3. At least 3 guys dropped a pass. Keith Gavin, Cam Akers dropped a touchdown, and then Harrison dropped a couple passes at least. Special teams, bad punting. We fumbled a kickoff return. That was right after we were getting the ball back when they were up 14-3. If we don't recover that fumble, they go up 21-3. And this game probably doesn't look the same at all. But we ended up scoring 2 plays later with a 74-yard touchdown to Tamarian Terry. So that brings us within 14-10. That changes how the whole game looks. Boston College did go for it on 4th and 5. And this was kind of latish in the game, like third quarter. They actually overthrew their wide receiver, but he was wide open, and that would have allowed them to score again. And then you were mentioning how the game ended. So I think Boston College got the ball with something like 10 minutes left in the 4th, down by 7. I said, oh, this is bad. Boston College can bleed the clock, drive, and that's exactly what they did. Their drive was almost 8 minutes long. The score with 2:32 left. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do there, but we made 2 big plays after that to seal the victory.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't like to see the giving, even though BC does run, primarily 281, it's still not good. So that gives you pause for concern for sure. Giving up 31 points and that drive at the end at 8 minutes. Ugh. Like I said, I thought it was over once they did that, or at least going to overtime.
Sure.
So the secondary and the run defense, you got to shore that up. And like you were saying earlier, the mistakes, the silly mistakes, the mistakes that you've made all year long, cannot continue to make them. And you see why Taggart doesn't have a job. Just undisciplined, for sure.
Yep. Oh, and if I didn't mention this, the punting has got to get better. Tommy Martin, I know he came in mid-season. He's a walk-on, so he did not expect to play this year at all. We had our other punter dismissed, but these constant shanks just have to quit. I mean, you have to consider going for it on 4th and shorter distances if it continues to be this bad, even if it's in your own territory. So we've got to get that cleaned up.
Yeah.
So other than that, this was the Boston College red bandana game.
Yeah.
So you definitely feel bad beating him on a day like that. There was a grad. He graduated from Boston College, and I think he served military. I can't remember the full story, but he was working in the Twin Towers the day that 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And he was one of the people that were rescuing victims, and he was helping drag them out of the building. So he would drag someone out of the building, he would run back in, grab more people, and bring them back out. Well, when he actually was in part of the rubble and the building collapsed in and it actually took his life. So no one knew who this mystery guy was, but he always wore a red bandana. That's what they remembered about him, was this guy wore a red bandana. And so because of that, they were able to tell the story, and all these other people whose lives he saved were able to share that, and that's how they were able to identify him once he passed away. Well, his parents still go to these Boston College games, and his mom was there. I think his dad recently passed away this last season. This is the first year his dad wasn't there. So they dedicate one game a year to him.
Well, it makes sense now, being so close to Veterans Day. So
there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the ACC's best traditions, actually, it really is.
So, well, now that I know a little bit about this, that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So it was an honor to see that tradition happen and unfold. That was really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I had to offer. Anything else you want to add to the Noles victory?
No. Looks like they might be going bowling after all. So.
Yeah. We can pretty much say with 99% certainty that's going to happen.
Right.
So, okay. Well, if that's all, then we can move on to Miami versus Louisville.
Okay. Yeah, this is Miami dropped 52 on Louisville, 52-27. Louisville team that seemed like they were rolling a little bit, but Miami was rolling even more.
Yep.
And this offense that just looked inept throughout the whole season really came out strong. And Williams throwing for 6 touchdowns. I believe that's a Miami record.
It is.
6 TDs on the game. And just you kind of saw glimpses of this recently, but you really did not see this coming at all. You saw Dallas has a game or two that he is just dominant. Jeff Thomas and Jordan and even Williams had a game or two that he was great, but they just couldn't seem to put it all together, and they did it this game. And with this victory, they qualify for a bowl. That's their 6th win of the year. They might be looking like they're probably going to be favored next 2 games, maybe even get to 8-4 at the end of the year. Yeah. And Diaz is really turning it around for a guy that is defense heavy, and they have a great defense. Now an offense is starting to complement that defense. So good for the Canes to finish out the year strong, and a huge victory over Louisville, who and they're Louisville, but they were starting to get things going, but they ran into a buzzsaw this game.
Yeah, I was very impressed with this victory by Miami. And I don't say that lightly, but to put up that many touchdowns and beat a Louisville team that was really rolling in hard, there you go. And now Miami puts themselves in a position that they're on the outside looking in for a chance to play in the ACC title game. They do have the win over Virginia, which would give them the tiebreaker. Now they're sitting at 4-3 currently. Virginia's 5-2, so I need Virginia to lose at least one more. And then there's Virginia Tech and Pitt in there. But by winning this and the way they're looking, you're right. I would think they're probably favored to go 8-4 by the end of the year, and gives you a chance to play Clemson. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be nuts. I still go Clemson, but just the fact that, considering how the season started, the fact that we're even talking about this, and the fact that they lost at home to Georgia Tech and the way they did, and I don't know what Diaz is doing, but he's doing it, and so turning it around, looks like.
Yeah, so good for them to have figured that out. And like I said before, those interdivisional games that you don't see very often, this was one of those where they had a chance, and that's why I picked Louisville to win. But here they sit.
Yeah, I thought Miami was going to win, but there's no way you could have convinced me that the score is going to be this high. Yeah. There's no way.
Yep.
But here it is. Just when you think you know college football or you know a team you don't.
Yeah, the ACC is really good at doing that.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yep. All right, cool. Anything else about Miami?
No.
So we'll talk about the UCF Knights. This was the biggest shocker of the weekend.
No joke.
They go on the road on a Friday night, and then they are upset by Tulsa, 34-31. Tulsa just 2 wins on the year. This one gives them their 3rd.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense. You looked at this game. You saw that, in the first half, in the first 2.5 quarters, I was like, okay, well, UCF's winning, but they have not put Tulsa away.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa kept hanging around, make some mistakes here and there, and it's just clear that UCF is a different team on the road this year for whatever reason. You could argue it's this or that. You just had no business giving up all of these yardage and all of these drives to a team where they held their best player in check. Keelan Stokes didn't even get like near his average for like all-purpose yards. He's their punt returner / wide receiver, and they've been close. But you're talking about Tulsa even putting their backup quarterback after Ninchi for the second half, and UCF could not stop them. It was very sad. But what is my key to success, Chris? What am I always saying? How many second half points did you score? UCF scored 3. So when you only score 3 points second half, it's not going to work. And they just let Tulsa crawl back and hang around. And despite bad kicking, Tulsa was still able, after a turnover, to get just one field goal and it ended up being all they needed. So 34-31. They upset the Knights.
Man, I'm still in shock of how this happened. And I watched most of this game, and you're right. UCF it looked like the better team. You knew they were the better team going in, but Tulsa just kept hanging around. And UCF would take one step forward and a couple steps back, and there's Tulsa just nipping at their heels. And for them to just outscore UCF 10-0 in the fourth, I did not see that coming at all. And the field goal that UCF scored in the third, I thought, okay, they're up by 7, right? They got this. They got the lead, and they'll just figure out a way to run the clock out. But for them to just put a goose egg up in the fourth, and again, Gabriel has these games where he looks like he's lights out, but a couple of them recently, he just turnovers, and it was 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. I mean, he put up 290, which is good, but those 2 interceptions are going to kill you, and it seemed like they did this game.
Yeah, it just constantly befuddles me. Is that a good word?
Yeah, I like it. Good or not, I like it.
Well, I was like, okay, well, they can pass enough that no matter what the rushing is, they're going to be fine. And then a couple weeks ago, I'm like, okay, they finally leveled it out. Now they're kind of balanced-ish. And this game, you think, okay, good. Killings goes for 95 yards and a touchdown. Otis Anderson, 66 yards and a touchdown. Thompson, he continues to produce. He had a touchdown, 22 yards. And you're like, okay, Gabe Davis, he's your guy. 6 catches, 98 yards. And all of this just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
The turnovers killed. That's what it ended up being. Plus special teams and penalties. I just couldn't believe that with time winding down and Tulsa's going to go for it to seal the win. And UCF stops them on 4th down, which, by the way, was the right decision to go for it on 4th and 1 to seal the game. And then there's a penalty that UCF did an illegal substitution. Mm-hmm. And I saw it happen before they snapped the ball. I said, oh, my God, they just lost the game. I saw it happen. I could not believe it. That's just such bad preparation, bad coaching, out of a timeout, inexcusable.
Yeah. And this is a UCF team that we knew that they were probably going to lose 1, maybe 2. But not 3, and not to Tulsa. Tulsa had some good games here and there, but only winning 2. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
Yep. And this was their first conference win. So I look at this, and you go in and you're like a 17-point favorite. This has to be Heupel's worst loss of his career so far.
Yeah. You gotta shake this one because that one's rough. It's so weird seeing UCF just blow people out and put up numbers quick to this, and it's a rough one for sure.
Yeah, it didn't really even feel like an upset either, because they have a comfortable enough lead early on. They're still kind of doing what they do. They're on track to score 31 points, which they ended up doing. I think they're up 21-10. Yeah, 21-10 at one point. And then again 28-17. So you're like, okay, that's pretty much all you're going to need.
Right.
But you have to put teams away. And the American has gotten better because of UCF. That's why you have, 4 ranked teams? Maybe it's 3. Yeah. Cincinnati, Memphis, and Houston. And then other teams come in and out. But it's because UCF has risen the bar. And now all these teams are beating them, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
So UCF falls to 7-3. All of their goals cannot be accomplished. They are no longer going to be able to go to the American title game. They have now lost the division. There is certainly no New Year's Six Bowl hopes. You continue the bowl streak. You continue to score 31 points a game. Play for pride. You can still win 10 games. That's not easy to do. But they're going to have to win out and then win their bowl game as well. So definitely not what UCF expected, and it is by all definitions of the word an upset for sure.
Yeah. Maybe the biggest one within the state of Florida all year.
Maybe.
So I had to rethink of all the games, but
yeah, Florida State was favored by Miami, but I mean it was a coin flip, and they lost by 17. But yeah, maybe. Man. Yeah, probably right. So, yep. So that means the Knights go to 4-2 in the conference, 7-3 overall on the season.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to FAU versus FIU.
Yeah.
Heated in-state rivals. and FAU put it to them, 37-7. Now, I thought that FAU was going to win, and you saw this probably was going to happen, but I just didn't think that FIU would just not put up a fight all game. And their one touchdown that they did get was a long touchdown run, 75-yarder by Maxwell. Other than that, nothing.
Just nothing. Yeah.
Nothing all game. Everything was rolling for FAU offense and defense, and good win for the Lane train, and he wants that FSU job. This is a good win for him. But story obviously for FAU, Davidson on the ground, 144 yards, 3 touchdowns, and great job for Robinson and Davidson as well. And even Anton had 125 in the air. So everything was going for FAU this night, and nothing was going for FIU, and just continuing to disappoint on the season.
Yeah, the Panthers have certainly kind of let me down. I thought they could really build some steam off of the 9 wins last year, program record, first bowl win, I think, and now they sit at 5-5 now. Their hopes of any kind of conference contention are gone. They got to play another Florida school, which we'll talk about in a minute. Doesn't look good to win that one, and they're going to end on a sour note for sure. Kind of stinks.
Yeah, and did not see this coming earlier in the year.
Yeah,
did not. Like you said, they just had a great year last year, and then just not so much this year. And FAU started off kind of shaky, and now they are going in the right direction. 7 wins in the season, so good job for them.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm still impressed with the way that Robeson continues to distribute the ball. I've been championing Harrison Bryant for the NFL draft all year. This is one of the best tight ends you can have. So just continue to give him some catches, and while Davison does all the work on the ground. So.
Yeah. Yep, FAU wins this year's Shula Bowl.
Yep.
So
they really wanted that trophy, huh?
I know, they did.
Did you see when they went to get it after the game, they knocked the table over that was sitting on? They almost dropped it.
I missed that.
It was the only fumble of the game.
Yeah. Waka waka.
Okay.
All right.
It does bode well for whatever job Kiffin wants to apply for. He has come back from a pretty bad 5-7 year with the Owls last season.
Right.
So it builds up the resume.
Yeah. And how do you feel about him just publicly stating it while he has a current job, saying, I don't mind going to another one?
It's very much a Lane-esque comment, and probably not cool to do that in front of your own team. They must also understand at the same token, like, this is the kind of stuff he does. But I don't know what that tells his current players.
Right.
So by the way, if a better job comes open, I'm out of here. I mean, you can think that, and you can have your suspicions, but you can't just remove all doubt.
I mean, we all know it, but still to say it.
That's kind of my thought.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kiffin's gonna Kiffin, I guess. But if there's a school that you can get away with it, it's a school like FAU.
Yeah, Conference USA. Well, you kind of understand what you're coming into, and
right.
He's already been fine this season, so
Yeah, why not?
Why not keep it going?
Yeah,
but that's why we love the guy.
Love's a
love?
funny word.
Okay,
it's a funny word.
Yeah,
but all right, let's wrap it up with
South Florida.
Wrapping it up, South Florida.
Yeah. So Thursday night they lose at home to Temple 17-7, and gosh, what a just boring game to watch. It's hard to even believe. By the time this kicked off, South Florida was favored in this game. I'm not sure why. It was pretty rough back and forth. I thought it would go scoreless into halftime, and late in the second quarter, Temple does score a touchdown. McLeod just he's just not your answer, and I think it's pretty clear after a performance like this.
Mm-hmm.
He's too inconsistent. He's too up and down. So you need to get through what the Miami Hurricanes did, which was Perry Williams.
Yeah.
Now that he's the guy, okay, you got to ride him out, and you're gonna have to live with those bad games. So it's gonna be McLeod. Own the time of possession they did in this game, but still not able to put enough yards. 61 rushing yards. Gronkowski disappears yet again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He can have a good month, but he can't have a good season. It's infuriating to watch. They did get their one touchdown through the air, but they lost 2 fumbles. And when it all mattered in there, it's late in the game. This was something I just blew my mind. I think it was like 4th and 10 with less than a minute left. Okay, you're down by 10. Got to go down the score. You're at your own 10-yard line. They threw a 6-yard out route to the sideline. And they turned over on downs after being 4 yards short. You should have seen the look on Kerwin Bell's face. He just dumbstruck.
Yeah.
Charlie Strong had no answer. They just both. I could tell they're not the kind of guy to throw a headset, but both of them wanted to.
Right.
Just poor decision making, poor clock management. Man, not keeping blocks. Bad choice of uniforms. They were so ugly. Oh my gosh.
Those are bad.
So
those are real
just
bad.
Nothing good for the Bulls at home. And then the attendance was terrible too. It's a Thursday night. You're 45 minutes away from your stadium. Just not a good look for the program.
Yeah, they've had some ups and downs this year for sure. This is definitely a down. I don't know if you can get worse than this. Cronkite, what are you doing? Where are you? Sometimes he likes to play Where's Waldo and just disappears.
Yeah.
But yeah, 61 yards on the ground. If you're going to do that, you need to throw for like 300 yards and to make up for it. And they're not doing that. McLeod's not the guy, like you said. And yeah, it's ugly all around. You hit it from the uniforms to the attendance to the performance. Just nothing went right for UCF this game.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can say the one positive was their defense. They held Temple to 17, but that's about it. Temple kind of underperformed too, and it was kind of a slugfest back and forth. So, I mean, you can hold your head high, I guess, with that, and that's really about it.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. I feel bad for Charlie.
Yep. So the Bulls fall to 4-5 on the season, and Bull hopes are kind of in question.
Yeah, big time.
Yep. Okay. Was that everybody? We get them all?
I believe so.
Yeah, I tend to forget one. That's on me, though.
It helps that FAU played FIU.
Yeah, so we had one less game to cover.
That's why we feel off.
All right. Well, next week, a lot of teams are off. So
yes.
Not a whole lot of previews going on. And quite honestly, I'm just going to throw it out there. Florida State plays Alabama State. There's really nothing to preview here. I'm not going to say much except score in the 50s, get your guys some experience, maybe get Jordan Travis some extra reps. Not too many. Hide some stuff from Florida. That's your only best hope now. Keep Cam Akers healthy. Draw up some plays, have some fun. Get you maybe our backup kicker, a little bit of experience, and just don't cause injuries and don't run your starters out into the third and fourth quarters. It is senior night, so you do want your seniors to get a lot of touches, including the backups and everything. But, nice, easy win at home against Alabama State.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say there is to say about that. And now that they have some confidence and different weapons on offense, get the backups some reps and especially on defense, and maybe just tighten up the mistakes in this game. Yeah,
Sure.
Florida State wins
Yep.
easily. I know it's arbitrary, but let's throw out a score.
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 48-17, and just because FSU struggles a little bit on defense, so 48-17.
55-10.
5-10.
I think we do hit 50 in this game.
Okay. Probably, but we're just short of 48.
Yeah, I think even those years we struggled, we still scored 60 or 70 on these teams. So
Okay.
I would think it shouldn't be a problem. But maybe you pull some guys, and our offense hasn't been all that. So maybe we only score 48. I could see it. I don't think we'll give up that many though. But hey, you're beating me on picks this year, so I have to defer to you.
All right.
However, UF still does have a conference game left.
Yeah, I know.
Traveling to Missouri. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I after the Vanderbilt game, I feel a lot better for sure. I love our passing game. Now, Missouri is, I believe, 4th in the nation in passing defense. Like a sneaky, silent stat there. They're really good at getting to the quarterback and their pass defense. So I'm interested to see their strength on our strength, passing game versus passing defense. I don't like where we are in the run game. I would love to see us get that better, but I feel better knowing that we can run it with our receivers and screen passes and having a guy like Tony. So I feel a little bit better, but I would love to get some kind of rushing attack going. Our defense is banged up a little bit. Guy like Brad Stewart, our safety, looked like I thought he went down in that game. I thought it was an ACL, but apparently he's good to go. Zuniga should be good to go, but I'm just not confident that he is. I think there's something else there. I like that this game we worked on rotating our corners and safeties. It's a noon game on the road, so I'm pretty sure we'll start off slow again. Missouri's quarterback Kelly Bryant didn't play against Georgia. He was a toss-up if he was going to play that game, and he didn't play that game, so which means he'll probably be healthy just in time for us. Hooray! He's a guy that has experience and can scramble a little bit, so I'm worried a little bit about him. And Missouri's one of those teams that one year we dominate them, one year they dominate us. I don't know which Missouri team is going to show up. They started off slow, then they got better, then they're on a 3-game losing streak now. I'd expect us to come out flat. I would expect this game to be similar to, say, a South Carolina game this year or a Vanderbilt game last year, where it takes us 3 quarters to finally separate, Yeah. But if this game was right after Georgia, I'd be really, 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 really worried. But I'm going to go Gators 30, Missouri 20.
Okay. So, Missouri is winless on the road this year, including losses to Wyoming and Vanderbilt, as well as Kentucky and Georgia. They're also undefeated at home, having beaten West Virginia, Southeast Missouri State, South Carolina, Troy, Ole Miss. Different team at home.
Yep.
At home, they score 38, 50, 34, 42, 38 points. On the road, they score 31, 14, 7, and 0. So it's very clear to me this team plays way better in Columbia.
Yeah.
Couple that with what you said about the pass defense, that's a recipe for an upset, for sure, especially if Kelly Bryant plays. I'm not going to take him, though. I think we've established enough, and I'm not going to repeat it again. This is a Dan Mullen team that doesn't lose games like this. They're clearly going to have the better team, better athletes, better playmakers, better coaching scheme. So I will take Florida to win here. Last year, that was a tough pill to swallow for the Gators, and I can't see that transferring over. I think that the Gators do get it done. Very close one though. That game is probably going to be high scoring as well. I'll take 37-34.
Okay. Yeah, I think we both agree that Florida's going to struggle. We're the better team, and we should win, and hopefully we will win. But it's just everything lines up for a close game. With a good pass defense on the road, like you said, they play great at home, and Brian will probably be ready for us. But Nolan is a lot better at coaching these types of games and finishing, and we are doing a great job overall this year, finishing, playing 4 quarters, and so I think the Gators should be just enough. I think the spread is 7 right now.
Yeah.
I say go a little bit higher than that. You can go lower than that. So it'll be interesting to see how we respond. And I know the first half I'm just going to be stressing, but hopefully by the second half we'll wake up enough to outscore them.
Okay. Should be entertaining.
Yeah.
Definitely hasn't been dull since they joined the East.
Yeah, and just interesting to see where we were last year in that Missouri game getting blown out. And we see Kyle Trask really for the first time in somewhat meaningful situation, and he impressed us a little bit. And then he looks like he might get a starting job the next game, and he breaks his foot. And you're thinking, well, that might be the last of Trask that we hear.
Yeah.
But now he's our starter. And so interesting to see where we were and he was last year versus Missouri to now.
That's a good point. How about that? Yeah. Okay. And then the only other game on this weekend, sir, is Cincinnati versus South Florida.
Yeah.
Everyone else is on a bye. UCF, Miami, FIU, FAU. Everybody's off. And I think that South Florida is just catching a really good Cincinnati team, probably, arguably the best in the conference. You could say Memphis is better. We'll see. They're probably going to play in the title game. But Cincinnati's defense is what has been their anchor. By the way, Cincinnati has only one loss on the year, and it was to Ohio State week 1.
Really? Wow.
They have not lost since. So they are rolling hot. They just don't let you to score, and that's really bad for a team whose offense is struggling. So you could be looking at another 7 to 10 point performance by the Bulls at home. I think Cincinnati will beat the Bulls pretty comfortably. Definitely cover the spread, whatever that may be. It's looking like it's 14. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Bearcats.
Yeah, you said that USF is catching a really hot Cincinnati team. Well, Cincinnati is catching a really bad USF team, and yeah, the spread's 14. I don't know I think it's going to be more than that, honestly. USF has those games where they surprise you, and then they play like a great team, and Cronkite can play great, but I'm just not seeing it. So yeah, Cincinnati big.
Correction, they lost. Cincinnati lost to Ohio State week 2. My apologies.
Oh. How dare you?
I know, jeez. But they beat UCLA week 1, lost to Ohio State week 2. So actually, that win's looking good for Ohio State. They might beat the American champion. True. So, yeah, I like the way that Ritter and the rest of the offense is going. Luke Fickell is definitely a name you're going to hear tossed around for Florida State and other main jobs. He was the American Coach of the Year last season, and got the program moving in a very good direction. And yep, I'll take the Bearcats here.
Okay. Yeah. As you should.
Awesome. All right. Well, interesting weekend. We had some upsets. We had some ups and downs. We gave our opinion. Other people have theirs. How can people reach out to us, Chris, with their thoughts on this last weekend?
Yeah. Go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com and hit us up. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear who you think's gonna be fired, gonna be filling in for Florida State, and just let us know how your teams are doing. Are they meeting your expectations? Are they not? And but yeah, FloridaFocusPodcast.com, the best place to hear us and to let us hear from you.
Absolutely. If you want to leave feedback in the form of a rating, that'd be appreciated as well. 5 stars would be the most appreciated on your podcast player of choice, but as long as it's honest, that's what we really want. And as the Florida State coaching search continues, we will keep you updated on Twitter as much as we can, and certainly have a reaction for you should any decent moves come through. But honestly, I haven't really seen anything credible as to far as who's going to be the next guy, and we keep hearing the same names over and over. You guys can get the news out there for yourself. We want to make sure that we give you our opinion once something real happens, or we're definite that we're going to move forward with the coaching candidate. So, won't be entertaining any rumors here. I don't want to waste your time. But anything else you wanted to add, Chris, before we sign off for the night?
I will say this. I know it's a college football podcast, but I will give you and the Florida State Seminoles basketball team all the credit. Congratulations for beating the Gator basketball team for the 6th year in a row. It's definitely disappointing at home. You're number 6 in the nation. You got all this praise coming to you, but Florida State comes in here and just dominates the whole game. So kudos to you. Good job, Florida State.
Oh, okay, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's one of the teams that Leonard's had some success with over the last decade or so, surprisingly. Even when we couldn't get it done and you play in a murderous ACC schedule, I appreciate that, because the Gators are definitely a great program, and their teams are pretty equal on how far they get in the tournament. Florida State's had some better years than others, but we've certainly never made a Final Four or won a national championship in basketball, which you guys have done. So it's not easy to do. So props to your team as well.
Well, you guys are doing great. You've had our number. Even the 2 years that we won the national championship, I believe Florida State beat us both those years.
So now, how about that?
Yeah, they just, I don't know what it is. They have our number, and then you have a great coach there, and so it's disappointing, but it's a good time of the year when football and basketball cross.
Sure. So
you don't have to wait. It's nice not having to wait till Saturday to get your fix of like sports. Nice little appetizers throughout the week. In college basketball, so it's cool.
Good way of looking at it. Well, I appreciate the shout out. That means a lot. All right. Well, thank you again, Chris, as always. Thank you to the community and fans that listened. This is Brandon saying, go Noles.
Go Gators.